was out of town because she teaches at Frederick Douglass High School there, which is not in my district. And I just thought, why would you do that?
Excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today is Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. This is the Medicaid Oversight and Advisory Board. This is our second meeting. And Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Berg. Senator Carroll.
Here.
Senator Meredith. Senator Richardson.
Here.
Representative Heverin. Representative Marzian.
Here.
Representative Mosier.
Here.
Representative Williams.
Here.
Vicky Yates Glisson.
Here.
Holly Harris. Joe Petrie.
Here.
Steve Shannon.
Here.
Senator Douglas.
Present.
Senator McDaniel. Representative Bowling.
Here.
Representative Petrie.
Here.
Allison Ball.
Heather Wagers representing for Auditor Ball.
Beth Bowling.
Here.
John Hicks.
Here.
Lisa Lee. Sheila Schuster.
She is en route. She's stuck in traffic. I'm her assistant.
Stephen Stack. Tom Stevens. Co-Chair Fleming.
Chair, here.
Co-Chair Rocky Adams.
What were you going to say? Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Everyone seems to be here or have a surrogate in attendance, which is very good. We do just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. So in your information packets, it's kind of thick this week, but what you'll see is some information in there that was a follow-up from a lot of the questions that were asked and posed at last month's meeting, and including but not limited to information on provider taxes, optional and mandatory Medicaid services, and a copy of the 1115 community engagement waiver. So check that out today and take it back to your respective organizations. And then also, if members have comments, announcements, or general questions not related to today's presentation, please hold those and until the end of the meeting, and there'll be a time for us to kind of go through those following public comment. So, housekeeping is taken care of. I guess the next order of business is we need approval of the minutes. So, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 25th, 2025? I hear a motion. Do I have a second? I see a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are adopted. Okay, next up on our agenda is we have someone from the National Conference of State Legislators who is going to present today and give us an update on the federal changes to the Medicaid program.
Thank
She's on
you,
Zoom.
Chairs Rocky, Adams, and Fleming. Can you hear and see me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. Ooh, I can see me. And I can see Chris. There you are.
Okay, I was like, I'm not sure how to change that on my end.
Yeah.
Here we go. Can everyone
Okay,
hear and
just
see me all right?
introduce yourself for the record and then proceed.
Excellent. So my name is Catherine Costanza, and I'm a program principal with the National Conference of State Legislatures. I'm here to present on the Medicaid provisions in 119 HR 1, and I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen and the slide deck now. All right, can everyone see that okay? Excellent. Okay. All right, so as I said, my name is Catherine Costanza, and I'm talking about the Medicaid provisions in 119 HR 1. But if you're not familiar, very briefly, just wanted to flag that the National Conference of State Legislatures is the membership organization for state legislators and legislative staff. We are both nonpartisan and bipartisan, and we provide to the over 7,000 legislators and over 20,000 legislative staff in all 50 states, DC, and the territories, all the services that are listed on this slide, including nonpartisan policy research and technical assistance presentations like this one, as well as connections, trainings, federal advocacy in DC, and meetings where members can exchange information. So just to flag that if you do have any questions after this, there's a lot to cover and we may not get to all of it, but please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly, and either I or one of my wonderful colleagues at NCSL can provide you with more information. So with that, I've been asked to present on the Medicaid specific provisions in HR 1. So as we dig in, we'll provide a high level overview of kind of what the landscape is in the bill. Then we'll dig into new flexibilities and funding opportunities that we want to highlight, and then we'll dig into the major provisions. At the end, I'll wrap up with some key questions that you all may want to consider as policymakers or in recommendations to policymakers. Before we dig in, I do want to acknowledge that there is a lot in the bill, and there's a wide range of political and partisan perspectives on these provisions. And just to reiterate that NCSL is a nonpartisan and bipartisan organization. We take no position with respect to any of the provisions in the bill or any actions that states could or should take in response. My job today here is just to share what it is that we know about the provisions as well as remaining state flexibilities and highlight what may be most impactful to Kentucky. So let's dig right on in. So at a high level, there are 4 key takeaways about the Medicaid provisions in HR 1. Specifically, it includes more than 20 provisions, and they're fairly complex in how they operate within the program. We're not going to get to every single one of them today, but I've tried to highlight what is most relevant to states and flag what is more miscellaneous and may be less impactful overall. The policies are complex and they also range in their potential state impact. So provisions include changes to federal and state financing, most specifically through provider taxes and changes to provider taxes. It limits state flexibilities related to eligibility determinations and payments to providers through state-directed payment limits. It will have some coverage impacts for people covered by the program, and it also includes some funding opportunities and a new waiver flexibility. 5 of the policies in the bill account for 85% of the federal savings over 10 years, and we're going to walk through these in more detail. And I want to flag that those policies address cost drivers for the federal government, and that includes enrollment, particularly expansion enrollment, provider payments, particularly for hospitals, and state financing arrangements through provider taxes. Now, while cost drivers in the Medicaid program are often shared between the federal and state government, it's important to recognize that some of the provisions and policy changes may mean that states do not realize the same savings as the federal government because of the changes to state financing arrangements and also the state's role in implementing the provisions that are in the bill. So what are the 5 policies that account for over 85% of federal savings? And I do want to flag that this is over 10 years. So all of the dollar amounts on here are over 10 years, between 2026 and 2034, I believe. So first off, the work or community engagement requirements are a significant component. Changes and repeal of Biden administration eligibility and enrollment rules that states will either have to undo some of their work in complying with the rules originally. Some of the remaining rules do remain in effect, and states will continue to implement those. Changes to provider taxes, specifically the reduction in the hold harmless threshold for provider taxes, are a significant portion of the federal savings in the bill, as are limits on state-directed payments, which are payments to providers that up until the enactment of the bill could be up to the average commercial rate. And then increasing the frequency of eligibility determinations for the expansion population from once annually to twice annually, so every 6 months. A couple key things to keep in mind is that the fiscal impacts of the bill are backloaded. And so over 76% of the 10-year reductions would occur in the final 5 years of that 10-year period. So 2029 to 2034. Expansion states and changes to expansion state financing account for more than half of the potential federal savings that are in the bill. And there's a significant impact on provider payments, particularly for hospitals. So MNAT and the State Health and Value Strategies Organization estimate that the provisions in the enacted Senate provisions could result in an 18.2% reduction in hospital payments that are equivalent to over $660 billion, again, over that 10-year period. So when we're looking at the timing, there's over 20 provisions. What are we talking about in terms of when things go into effect? Well, all the Medicaid provisions go into effect either upon enactment or sometime before October 1st, 2029. So there's about a 5-year implementation period. So starting in 2025, there are several provisions that take effect immediately, but most relevant for state action in 2025 is that applications for the Rural Health Transformation